So I'm not very happy with the way a recent Muay Thai fight just went the other night. And I'm going to show you the footage in just a moment, but make sure you don't skip ahead because I want to create some context for you so you fully understand exactly why what happened is just so insane to me, and I imagine will be to you as well. First off, I'm going to jump into what probably the most important detail here, and that's that my opponent, who I fought the night before we matched up, was KO'd literally the night before. So obviously concussed, and it's so crazy to me that the stadium or the promoters would actually allow him to fight the next day. Like, I understand that fight culture in Thailand is much more chill and casual, but you would think that they would draw the line somewhere at least. And let me be clear, I found this out after the fight, so I had no idea, as usual, what I was walking into. Fighting in small stadiums here in Thailand is just so wild, to the point where one day you can be in the ring with an absolute killer that's trying to take your head off, and then the next day end up doing just this, fighting some journeyman that fights almost every night, obviously has wear and tear, and was literally just knocked unconscious the night before. Now, at this point in the story, I'm sure you can understand why I'm not exactly ecstatic over the circumstances that myself and my opponent found ourselves in the other night. And even though this is technically two adults consensually stepping in the ring to engage in mutual combat with each other, I obviously just can't help but sympathize for the circumstances that my opponent seems to be in, where he feels like he needs to fight so often, especially the day after being knocked out. And the silver lining here, I guess positive from my end at least, is that I'm not hurt and I'll be able to fight again in a few days or next weekend. So make sure you subscribe to catch that one and see what happens. This Thai fighter and I had actually fought once before, and even in that one I mentioned that I see him fighting all the time, and I know I keep repeating myself, but it's just nuts how often some of these guys are fighting. And leading up to this fight, the day before, I saw the poster, and it was filled with almost entirely foreign fighters, so I was expecting to go up against somebody from the West. But as usual, there's always some curveballs when fighting in Thailand. And the next day, when I was there, I saw the fight schedule, and it said that I was faced off against a Thai, being the last match of the night. So his face, his name wasn't on the poster, and I had honestly forgotten the name of him from last time, so I wasn't sure at all who I was going to be fighting. And it's always interesting being the last fight of the night, especially when there's 12 fights. You got to show up early, and there's a lot of build up, and trying to find that balance of not being too hungry, not being too full, snacking when you need to. And here's some footage of me just before the fight. This time I was really nervous for whatever reason. It's always a roll of the dice for me. Sometimes I'm super calm.
I'm in a glass case of emotion!
Yeah, you can tell here as I'm pacing back and forth, pre-gaming in my head and awkwardly shadowboxing and getting some stretching in here. And so here we have the match begin. And just as I remember from last time, he's very light on his feet, gliding backwards and to the side, dodging my first few attacks. But I continued to stalk him forward, pushing his back up against the ropes, where he throws a few teeps till I managed to parry his kick, following up with a right cross, causing his head to snap back only 20 seconds into the fight, causing a standing 8 count, as well as a dumbfounded look of confusion on my face, as you can see here. And of course, knowing what we know now, that he'd been knocked out the night before, and seeing his reaction, he probably just tweaked something and was definitely damaged from the night before. Super unfortunate. I really don't like fights like this. I'm going to ask to not be matched up with this guy from now on, because I need some tougher opponents, because I really want some bigger challenges going forward here, especially if I want to fight in one of the big stadiums in Bangkok in the near future. When they stopped the fight, I went to pay my respects to him and check up on him, but did not look very happy with me and just completely ignored me. So I just stepped back to give him and the medic some space. I sincerely hope my opponent has a speedy recovery and gets a chance to actually have some clearly needed recovery time, and that the stadium and promoters give him a bit of a break. Maybe help him out financially, but I don't know what goes on behind the scenes, honestly. Check out one of these videos next. I really appreciate you guys watching. Until next time, guys. Bye. Thank you.